Now I'm going to give you a quick lesson on how to manipulate focus in German sentences. Of course, keep in mind you don't have to learn how to do this in order to create sentences, but simply to decipher them, to figure out what they mean, and in the case of German, where the emphasis of the sentence lies. This is one of the advantages of having inflected definite and indefinite articles. Unlike English, which only has the and a, German has, of course, der, die, das, dem, den, and so on and so forth. And that means they can keep the meanings of various parts of the sentences separate, and they can move them around without affecting the understandability of a given sentence. So here is a regular, just a store-bought sentence. That is subject, verb, time, manner, place, and then the object or the second verb. Now, you have to remember the Germans expect to hear the information of time, manner, place in that particular order. And so, even though you're not going to need to produce it, you can use this also as a strategy for deciphering what a sentence might mean. So remember that in a regular sentence you have the subject, you have the verb, then if you have time, you have time, and then if you have manner, you have the manner, and if you have the place, then you have the place. And at the very end you have the object or the second verb. Now you may not know what the second verb means right now, but in a short while you're going to be introduced to that when we talk about the present perfect tense. Also, when we look at modal auxiliaries, you have the modal, and then you also have the participle of the verb at the end of the sentence. So that can also go at the end of the sentence rather than just the object. So now, regular sentence. Sein Sohn spielt am Abend mit Freunden im Sportverein Fußball. His son plays in the evening with friends in the sports club football. I know, an odd-sounding English sentence, but that's a word-for-word translation. Of course, you're going to massage that. You're going to turn that into something that's a little bit more readable if you're going to do a translation. Of course, just to understand what's going on in the sentence, that may actually be enough for you. But some people are a little more pedantic about these things, and I don't mean pedantic in this case in a bad way, but rather they like to have things sound good. It also adds something to the understanding of the sentence. But now we're going to go and start to manipulate the focus of this sentence. We're going to give it some nuance. So we're going to take the regular sentence out, and I'm going to move that over here, and I'm going to say, okay, I want to focus on the when in this sentence. Well, there you have the element of time, and that means you're going to move the element of time to the beginning of the sentence. Remember, everything kind of revolves around that verb. It stays in place. It doesn't go anywhere for now. And so what you then do, because subject and verb have to remain together, you move the subject into the position after the verb. So now you have, am Abend spielt sein Sohn mit Freunden im Sportverein Fußball. In the evening plays his son with friends in the sporting club football. Now it's starting to sound worse and worse, but to the German ear, this is not odd. This is a perfectly normal sentence. Now I'm making the distinction between normal and regular, because what you've done now is you've emphasized the fact that it's going to be in the evening that this takes place. And that's exactly what the German listener hears and what the German reader understands in the text. Okay, now let's say you don't want to focus on the when, but rather you want to focus on the how something's going to happen. That is the manner of it happening. Well, for that to be the case, what you do is you take the time out, you take the manner in which something takes place, you put it into first position. Remember now, time and place, they still have to follow that order, even though you've taken the manner out. You have, mit Freunden spielt sein Sohn am Abend im Sportverein Fußball. Again, it sounds strange to the English listener, but to the German listener, this is normal. And what you're doing is you're emphasizing the manner in which something is being done. Okay, we can probably guess by now, you can also do this with place. So let's take the manner out, move that back here, move the place into first position. Notice you haven't done anything with the verb or the subject. They've remained as they are. So you have place, verb, subject, time, manner, and then the object or the second verb. So im Sportverein spielt sein Sohn am Abend mit Freunden Fußball. In the sporting club plays his son in the evening with friends football. Okay, so there you have the where, and I had forgotten to move this into place. So let's just imagine that I had done that. Okay, let's move that out of the way and focus on the what. What is being done, or what's receiving this action? Well, you've probably figured out by now that all you do is you move that to the beginning. Notice time, manner, place at the end. Verb and subject, they have the inverted word order, and you'll hear me refer to inverted word order. And what I'm doing is I'm referring to the verb and the subject being inverted. It's not a normal position where you have subject verb, but rather verb subject. So now you have Fußball spielt sein Sohn am Abend mit Freunden im Sportverein. So football plays his son, in the evening with friends in the sporting club. Again, this is really kind of clunks on the English ear, but to the German ear, this is music. Because you're saying, okay, it's football that's the important part of what's being talked about here. Now, you noticed that I had one more thing here, and that is the question. And this is not so much a manipulation of the word order, but rather simply a way of forming a question. So let's move everything back into the various positions that we found them initially. With the normal sentence, we have the subject, we have the verb, we have the manner, we have the place, and we have the object at the very end. Now you can use exactly the same words and create a question from this. And this is the type of question that requires a yes or a no. We had the interrogatives, those W words. Now you have another way of asking a question. And this is sometimes what I call the judicial questions. These are the yes-no questions that you don't want people to elaborate, but you simply want a yes or a no. And that is done like this. You just take the verb out, you move the subject into second place, move the verb into first place. You don't do anything to the words at all other than change their position. So now you have the question, spielt sein Sohn am Abend mit Freunden in Sportverein Fußball? So plays his son in the evening with friends in the sporting club football. And that to a German is a question. So now you have it. There you see how you can manipulate the order. And again, you're not learning this in order to speak the language, but to decipher it. And so if you see a verb, for example, in first place, then you know that you're dealing with a question. And if you find one of the other elements, other than the subject in first position, you realize that, something else is being emphasized. There's a nuance to the sentence that I'm not going to find in the normal word order. So there you have it, manipulating focus in German sentences.